Through spirituality, we are taught that the soul is the most important thing that we own. And I don't believe that is true. I believe it's just another thing that the ego is identified with. The soul is interesting because the soul definitely holds all those experiences of the original thought of the being that was created and came to experience itself, or as original thought experiences itself, or source experiences itself. And it holds all of that. It holds the good and the bad, the whole blueprint of the soul. And interestingly, that whole blueprint also sits within the DNA of our bodies, which can also change. It's a really interesting thing. That is where all that energy and all that memory, or that cellular memory, if you've heard of cellular memory, that's where it all sits, the soul. And the soul is actually just another thing which keeps us separate from everybody else. I do believe that the soul needs to heal, and in order to heal the soul, you have to learn to transcend the ego, because the ego and the soul are completely and entirely intertwined. So I believe that we actually have to be willing to not identify even with our soul. But that is quite a process to go through, because I no longer identify with this planet, but I did identify with this planet. I believe this planet was the center of the universe, and I believe that most people do. I had to stop identifying with all religious ideas of what I thought was so real, because of what I had been taught was real. And when I took my time to think about that, it didn't make sense to me. I have chosen to unravel from all of that, and I'm willing to take that risk completely and entirely. Like, religion wants to tell you that if your soul hasn't been harvested to the right side, well, then your soul is doomed. Well, I don't care. I don't care, because I am more than my soul. And I choose to be who I am because it feels right for me, because that feels loving and that feels kind, whether to myself or others, and whether others can perceive that from the heart in which it's coming, that I'm not responsible from. Or for, should I rather say, sorry. But ultimately, my soul does not define me, and my fear of losing my soul does not control me. I am not controlled by anything anymore, and I choose to be the best person I can be, not because I'm afraid of darkness, and not because I want to be pleasing to a God, that I want approval or validation from something outside of myself. I choose to be that because it's the fucking right thing to do for me. And that's it. No other reason. No other reason at all. And that doesn't, again, it doesn't make me right. It just means that I'm not keen on playing this game in the way that I can see soul after soul after soul entrapped here, who doesn't even understand the things that I understand. And I only understand it because I've been doing energy healing for years, and through that I have got a deep connection to my intuition, and that has shown me things. It's shown me all these different ways of entanglement, the energetic entanglements and parasitic feeding that happens off of us, off of our fear, off of our anxiety, off of our naivety, off of our just complete and utter stupidity. Because people are actually quite trusting. And then I can't call that stupid, but I can say that whoever chooses to take advantage of that, that's just wrong. Anybody who chooses to abuse people because they don't know any better that is just so not right to me. Like, that is not cool. That's not somebody who I want to believe in, and those are not the kind of leaders who I want to, again, put my power into or strengthen bonds towards. So ultimately, why are we here? Why am I here? I'm here to reclaim my sovereignty. Why am I sitting in front of this camera right now? I'm here to tell you that you too can reclaim your sovereignty. And the stuff that I say might really challenge your belief systems. And that's great. Challenge your belief systems, because your belief systems are only bound to all these different matrices that you subscribe to. And none of them are real unless you actually give your power to make them real. That is the power of creation that comes from each individual being. And whatever's sitting at the top, that God consciousness that's sitting at the top, that is just totally destroying people's sovereignty. That thing doesn't deserve my power or my energy, and it doesn't deserve yours either. You are love. We are all love, and we all have the opportunity to move ourselves back to a space of very, very deep love and connection, where we are no longer being used and where we know the truth of everything that's going on in this world. The truth sets us free. That is just the way it is. And in these few recordings that I've made, I'm not sure that I've even explained this in a depth that I'm not sure if there's anybody who'd even be able to understand what I'm saying. Maybe it sounds like utter gibberish. I don't know. But hopefully there's some sense that I'm making in the stuff that I'm saying. And the stuff that I'm saying is pretty damn deep. And it shouldn't be scary, because reclaiming sovereignty shouldn't be scary, but it is, because the ego fears everything. The ego fears taking responsibility for itself. The ego fears unknown. The ego fears uncertainty. The ego fears not knowing what to do next and who to follow. The ego fears not fitting in. The ego believing everything it's always believed. And I say, fuck the ego. I'm not going to be driven by something that's driving me actually into the fucking depths of what feels like hell for most people on this planet. I'm not going to be a part of that anymore. I understand it's there. I don't hate it. I understand it. And therefore, I can understand myself and all other human beings. Because like I say, if you're born in a body, you have an ego. But it's for us to learn how to drive ourselves and to drive our life, so that we can reclaim sovereignty. Stop coming back to this madness. Stop feeding the madness of what this planet is and what's happening on this planet. And take back our freedom of choice. Take back our free will. And stop enslaving ourselves in all these different consciousnesses and all these different matrices and all these different entanglements, and move ourselves back to our true nature, move ourselves back to love.